Good morning, all. Recall that the last lecture we had on Igbo traditions and culture was on mask and masquerade among the people of Igbo. And the focus of that lecture was on Eastern Igbo group. Eastern Igbo group, also known as cross-riverian Igbo groups. Three are in Abia State, three are in Ebonyi State. The three local governments in Abia State are Ohafia, Bende, and Arochukwu local government. In Ebonyi area, we have Afikpo local government, Eda local government, and some parts of Ivo local government. These six local governments are regarded as Eastern Igbo group or cross-riverian Igbo group, and they have characteristics that differentiates them from the rest of the Igbo. And one of them is the matrilineal holding most of them subscribe to. Another one is age grade and other terms that unify or distinguish them among other Igbo groups. Today, we are going to have a lecture on New Yam Festival in contemporary Igbo society. This lecture covers the entire Igbo nation, unlike the one on mask and masquerade that only cover the Eastern Igbo group. And we say that generally, yam is considered a staple food in West Africa. But among the Igbo, they have strong reference for yam. Yam is the only crop in among the Igbo that has a deity established on its behalf. And the name of that deity is called Njoko Ji. And we say that as the king of crops, yam is superior to all other crops, and its festival is the celebration of the harvest of all crops, which symbolizes the conclusion of the harvest season and the beginning of the next work cycle. The New Yam celebration is one of the festivals that unite the entire Igbo nation, although different communities have various names for this festival. A study of the New Yam festival in Igbo land reveals that some communities have different names for the festival, such as Ikeji, Iwaji, Iriji, Ọnwa Asatọ, Ahiajọkụ, Ofala, Ihenjọkụ, Ifejọkụ, among others, as dictated by dialectical differences. In terms of importance, significance, popularity, and patronage, the New Yam Festival in Igbo land is comparable to Christian Christmas and similar festivals, and it is only yam out of the crops cultivated in Igbo land that has a court dedicated to it. Annually, yams come into the barn at harvest time and go back to the farm at planting time. This cyclical process constitutes the object of the annual ritual act of fecundity, generation, and regeneration. Having established the importance of New Yam Festival among the Igbo, the study is aimed at investigating the transformation and contemporary relevance of New Yam Festival in Igbo land. To achieve this objective, the paper is structured into sections. With this introductory overview, the study proceeds by tracing the origin of yam among the Igbo because of this strong belief that yam originated in their land. Section 3 discusses the significance of yam among the Igbo and the misconceptions associated with New Yam Festival. Section 4 will examine some of the modifications New Yam celebration had undergone in order to remain relevant, while Section 5 summarizes and concludes the lecture. Now, we are now going to look at the origin and development of yam among the Igbo. Yam is the number one crop of the Igbo. So important is the crop that G.T. Basden, who was a colonial administrator in southeastern region, claimed that to be deprived of yam creates a condition of absolute distress. And again, Thurston Shaw believes that the history of yam crop in Igbo land dates back to over 5,000 years ago. Various stories about the origin of yam in Igbo land exist in many communities. We shall group the available oral evidence about the origin of yam into two. Those claiming that yam crop is as old as human existence in Igbo land, thus that God presented yam as the first food to the Igbo man, and others who claim that yam consumption in the area, though of relative antiquity, was as a result of experimentation or accident. Here, we are going to look at the two accounts of how yam originated in Igbo land. The first school of thought, or the first group, said that yam originated or was given to an Igbo man by God himself. The second school of thought said that yam came into being as a result of experiment. The people stumbled on yam, which was known as white yam, when they experimented it by eating it and discovered that it did not kill them. That was how the yam eating started in Igbo land. We are going to look at the two schools of thought. Yam as God's gift and yam as a source of experiment. Among the Anambra people, the Nri community of Anambra, their own myths about the origin of yam states that there was a time when a severe famine struck. Ezeri, king of Nri, considered what should be done to remedy the situation. He was asked by Chukwu to kill his son and daughter. He later took the drastic course of killing his eldest son and daughter, cutting their bodies into small pieces and burying them. Strangely, yam and cocoyam were observed to be growing at the very places where the dismembered parts of the bodies had been buried. In the same mythology, another version avers that Eri killed male and female slaves and buried them in separate graves. From their graves emerged yam and cocoyam. A similar story is recorded among the Ohaji community of Imo State, one of the largest yam producing areas in Igbo land. According to the tradition, in an Ohaji village called Umuboke, Asa, one Ndasa who was dying of hunger with his children consulted Chukwu, who advised him to kill his son and to eat whatever came out of his grave. On the fourth day, he killed his first son and buried the toes and fingers separately. The first plant that sprouted from where the toes and fingers were buried was jiaga, a species of white yam. From the head came another species called ji osha. From the intestine came jiavula, water yam, and ona, three-leaf yam. On the other hand, some traditions buttress the notion that yam cultivation, just like the other crops in Igbo land, may have resulted from the people's experimentation with the different plants in the area with a view to identifying the edible one. For instance, among the group of communities in Afikpo, Ebonyi State, their myth on the origin of yam is of twofold. One claiming the God factor, while another supports continuous experimentation. According to the God factor mythology, the acclaimed founder of Afikpo community, Igbo, had a younger sister called Ne Oriete Imomo, who disliked the taste of white yam, bitter species that were common then. So Neorita Imomo communed with Obasinelu, and she was instructed to clear a portion of arable land. In order to have her wish of good yams, she was asked to offer a male child, born of one of her brother's 7 daughters. She summoned her 7 daughter-in-laws, as they are known in Afikpo tradition, and narrated the revelation. One of them, Alosia Imagorie, offered her son. After the sacrifices, 4 or 5 months later, good and edible yams sprang out from where the boy was buried, and God warned her that she must at all times accord great respect to yam. Similarly, Afikpo people also trace the origin of yam to Enohiankalo, a community Professor Ottenberg described as one of the earliest inhabitants in Afikpo. According to their oral tradition, yam was first cultivated, eaten, and domesticated by the Nkalo people. Till date, the community holds primacy in matters related to the celebration of New Yam festivals. Unlike other communities in Igbo land, where the kings or the oldest men in community moderate in the celebration of the festival, in Afikpo, the date and the celebration must be announced by the Yam deity priest called Eleri. No community in Afikpo celebrates the festival or eats the new yam until the yam priest performs the rituals associated with the celebration of indigenous with indigenous species of yam called akere. Among the Eza people of Abakaliki in Ebonyi State, their oral history claims that their ancestor Ezekuna stumbled upon yam while digging in his farm. He ate it and was able to quench his hunger. Following this, he took it home and planted it. From then, the eating of yam became part and parcel of the people's tradition. A closer tradition widely believed in Abakaliki, comprising the three clans of Izin, Ikwo, and Eza, has it that one day their father, the father of Ezekona, Nodo and Noyo, called these boys and asked them to go and find food for the family. They obeyed their father and went to look for food. Nodo returned with wild yams, and Noyo came back with some fish and roots. While Ezekona brought a human head, each presented what he brought to the father as a trophy. Their father, Ekumeni, blessed each of them according to what he brought. According to the history, Nodo was blessed with yam production, and Noyo was given with plenty of meat and food, while Ezekuna was blessed with gallantry in warfare and was given charge of their father's compound. Following from this, even till this day, Izi clan is the greatest producer of yams in Abakaliki. The Ikwo are renowned for the production of all types of foodstuff and meat, while Eza are noted for their militarism in the whole of Abakaliki and beyond. Again, the annual Ofola festival in Onitsha, Anambra State, is also linked with the discovery of new yam in the area. The people say that at the beginning, nobody knew anything about yam in the area. However, when the people finally discovered yam, which grew like any other plant in the area, many were scared of what to do with it. Some feared that it could be poisonous. The different villages therefore decided to experiment on the crop one after the other. The Ofola, therefore, is essentially the Obi's royal festival for the survival of his people. Since it is difficult to say when the first Ofala was held in Onitsha, because Ofala has always been held by Obi of Onitsha for centuries, it therefore follows that the antiquity of yam cultivation in the area is indisputable. These oral sources go a long way to show the antiquity of yam in Igbo land. No matter the variations or similarities of the stories of the origin of yam in Igbo society, some inferences could be drawn from these myths and legends. Namely, 1. Yam cultivation has been part and parcel of the agricultural economy of the Igbo. Secondly, they believe that yam was instituted by God for the benefit of his children. And thirdly, that yam was and is still regarded as crop cultivated by men. We are now going to look at the uses and roles of yam in Igbo land. Of all the crops roots cultivated and consumed by the Igbo, yam stands out excellently. The versatile roles and uses of yam can be classified into different categories, such as table food, industrial usage, ritual symbol, social and economic wealth-creating ventures. Number one use of yam is that yam is used as a source of food and dietary. Yam is an important dietary element for Nigerian and West African people. It contributes more than 200 calories per person per day for more than 150 million people in West Africa. Yam is an attractive crop in poor families with limited resources. It is rich in starch and can be prepared in many ways. Secondly, or the point number 2, industrial and medicinal usage of yam. Industrially, yam is also processed into flour for use in the preparation of the paste. Its medicinal use as a heart stimulant is attributed to its chemical composition, which consists of alkaloids or saponin and saponin. 3. Rituals and religious roles of yam. The importance of yam in the economy and sociocultural life of the Igbo has led to its ritualization. For instance, yam is taken as man's crop, the Igbo staff of life, while other crops like cocoyam and cassava are relegated to the subsidiary status. 4. The social function of yam. Yam has different social functions in the society. During weddings, funerals, naming ceremonies, Thanksgiving, and others, yam form part of the menu accompanied by vegetables or white soup. Point number 5, the economic importance of yam. Yams do not only serve as the main source of earnings, but also serve as the major employer of labor in Igbo land. In the traditional Igbo society, the wealth of a man is measured by the quantity of yam he harvested in his farm. In this contemporary period, yams can be exported to other countries to earn foreign currency and improve the economy of Nigeria with enormous wealth to the yam farmers. Having looked at the uses of yam, we are now going to look at the contemporary modifications the celebration of yam had undergone. And we say that, as we noted in our introduction, that the New Yam Festival is observed in the entire Igbo land as a mark of appreciation to God, the deities, and the ancestors for the protection and kindness in leading them from lean period to the time of bountiful harvest without death resulting from hunger. The celebration depicts the Igbo as a religious people, a people who annually acknowledge their duty to return gratitude to Chukwu, their God, for providing them with such a gratuitous gift as yam, a major food that satisfies their gastronomic requirements for ensuring their physical and material well-being. Presently, the New Yam Festival in Igbo land is not only relevant in this contemporary age, it has also gone through series of changes as a result of Western education, Christianity, economic changes, and increase in population. In the process, purging itself of those rituals and fetish practices that were associated with it. It was as a result of these changes that efforts have been made by various Igbo communities to play down on the traditional attachments like offering sacrifices to the god of Yam. In fact, Christians now frown at this practice, but certainly not against the idea of New Yam festival in Igbo land. In reconstructing the festival celebration, the aspects connected with sacrifices to the deities and ancestors are assumed to have been removed and replaced with Christian symbols in order to make the festival more acceptable to the people of various religious leanings. In the olden order, the traditional chief priest in different communities usually stands in between the deities, the ancestors, and the people. But presently, such things are no longer taking place. For instance, Yam celebration does not only take place in Igbo land alone. Yam festival takes place in different cities and towns in Nigeria, even beyond. We see Igbo people in US celebrating New Yam festival. We see Igbo people in Europe and other parts of the world celebrating New Yam festival, which means that Yam has left the ancestral home it was once celebrated and has gone abroad. And a lot of people now use the period of New Yam Festival to discuss developmental issues in their community. In conclusion, we say that in this lecture on EKG, we have argued that New Yam Festival celebration exists in almost all Igbo communities in Nigeria and other parts of West Africa. The teaching's main aim was to systematically articulate the transformations that had occurred in the celebration of the New Yam Festival. We also briefly discussed how yam originated among some Igbo communities in order to clarify the conceptual ambiguities associated with it and to examine the significance of yam among the Igbo. We also evaluated some of the modifications New Yam celebration had undergone in order to remain relevant. The primacy of the New Yam festival might have been recognized by Bolin and Dostan, which made them to assert that the New Yam festival affords individuals the opportunity to interact with community members regardless of class affiliation, social, religious, political, or economic status. In this present dispensation, the Igbo people outside Igbo land, scattered in different cities in Nigeria, always gather together every August to celebrate New Yam Festival as a unique heritage of the Igbo to the world. In the course of the celebration, the Igbo federal civil servants and businessmen usually use the time of New Yam Festival celebration to invite federal government ministers and permanent secretaries to draw attention on the areas of neglect and interventions, while the Igbo in diaspora use the opportunity of New Yam Festival celebration to raise funds for project execution, and scholarship award in the Igbo villages. Thank you.